dozen state-of-the-art sport facilities, thousands of fans, the fusion of art and science, adrenaline and euphoria. The grand sport. The gigantic mechanism. Watch at Sports Giants. Water polo appeared at the end of the 19th century in the UK. This game, which was the prototype of rugby, was invented by William Wilson. At first, players used force in the fight for the ball, and rivals could keep each other underwater. But over time, the game was regulated by strict rules and acquired a modern form. Today, water polo is considered one of the oldest Olympic sports. For the first time, this game was presented at the Olympics in 1900. Women's water polo entered the Olympic program in 2000 after the political protests of the Australian women's team. This is the only game on water. First of all, there are no other games on water. Since I was a swimmer, I started swimming at 6. I almost swam to the candidate for a Master of Sports. Naturally, it's more interesting to play than to swim. And secondly, we managed to do it somehow easily. No swimming pools, no water sports. For example, in Australia, swimming is the second religion, and we live in a landlocked country. But Kazakhstani swimmers and water polo players are performing at the World Championships and the Olympic Games. At one time, I first started swimming, and pretty quickly I got bored to swim from side to side. And when I saw how they played on water, my brother was engaged in water polo. I tried it too, and I really liked it. And now all my life I have been doing this sport. I started here on the central swimming pool. It was my first swimming pool for practicing water polo. There were high sides. There was a different color of water. Now the water is super clean, blue, meets all world standards. Almaty city center can be called a sports center. Along the lively avenue of Abay, for several blocks, there are several sports complexes. This is the central stadium, where athletes train and football matches are held. The Balwan Sholak Sports Palace stands nearby. On the contrary, behind the so-called Hedarik of the city stands the building of the former Institute of Physical Culture. Now it is the Kazakh Academy of Sports and Tourism, which has its own swimming pool. The Dostik Sports Complex and the Central Swimming Pool are nearby. And here you can meet well-known athletes of the past. I came to the pool, which is no longer there. This pool was near Gorky Park. It was unheated, but we all liked it very much. But this pool, it's great. This is where I spent my youth. The pool absolutely corresponds to all international requirements. A 50-meter swimming pool, competitions in swimming, water polo and diving, competitions of the highest rank, and the Championship of the Union and the Championship of the Republic were held here. In 1970s, I got into the top 10 best swimmers in the world at a distance of 200 meters in a breaststroke way. I was the 6th in the Union, but our USSR brassists were then the strongest in the world. It was the city of Lviv, Western Ukraine. Well, we had all the training in this pool. At the entrance to the pool at any time of year, you will see many children and adults. The city residents come here with their families. We decided to go to this pool because we heard good reviews and because it's next to the house. When we went inside, we liked everything, interior and service. The water sports center in Almaty is called a beach in the city center. All the year round athletes train here and spend time with other lovers of swimming.
Но откуда взялся этот бассейн?
But where did this pool come from? Everything was much earlier. And how did the water polo in Kazakhstan originate? It started much earlier. At first, the pool was in Gorky Park, Spartak. There was ice water. The first, let's say the coach who did all this, is Alexander Andreevich Krukov. I think that this is really the person who created a lot for the development of both sport and water polo in Kazakhstan. All these results, which we have all began with him. Then, when this pool was built, water polo has moved here and is still developing.
Да, и развивается до сих пор.
The swimming pool is a complex hydraulic structure intended for practicing water sports. This includes swimming, water polo, diving, and underwater sports, and synchronized swimming. But it was the water polo players who entered the history of Kazakhstan sport into several brightest pages. And one of the founders of this sport in Kazakhstan was Alexander Krukov.
Мой первый тренер по водному полу.
My first water polo coach, I believe, is Alexander Andreevich Krukov, who brought me to Almaty, who always walked alongside, helped and supported me. The person to whom I was very much indebted, grateful. He is one of the founders of water polo. He is the man who led the club Chemist, Jambul, to the championship in the USSR Championship.
В чемпионате СССР.
Alexander Andreevich Krukov spent his entire adult life developing the water polo in Kazakhstan.
Поражало то, как вратари прыгают.
It was amazing how the goalkeepers jump, how people fight for this ball on the water. For me, a child who cannot swim, it was of course nonsense. Gradually the result began to appear, and in 1972 the team of young men of Kazakhstan was organized, which began to prepare for the Spartakiad of school children in 1974. This team was headed by Alexander Andreevich Krukov and Stanislav Dmitrievich Pivovarov. With them we began this road to big great successes. In parallel, such a lot of work was done with the children, and at the 1974 Spartakiad of school children, we took the third place. Alexander Andreevich Krukov created the team Jibek, and we played first in the first league, 1975, and went to the big leagues in 1976. And now our youth team became the championship of the USSR in 1976 among the youth teams. The history of the development of water polo in Kazakhstan is several dozens of years old. In the middle of the last century, a swimming pool was built on the basis of the technical school and the Institute of Physical Culture in Almaty. And very soon, the rapid development was given to swimming and diving. Swimmers often included ball games in the training program, and water polo began to gain popularity.
Если мы возьмем
If we take in general the history of the development of swimming pools in the city of Almaty, this pool is now 50 years old. For 50 years, of course, a lot of people trained here. A lot of children have been brought up. Not one champion has been brought up. At least 2 Olympic champions have been brought up here. This is Sergei Kotenko in water polo and Dmitry Balandin in swimming, who won the last Olympic Games in 2016. Sergei Kotenko is the champion of the Olympic Games in 1980. 2-time USSR champion, winner of the USSR Cup, champion of Asia and Europe, 2-time World Cup winner, world champion, Olympic champion, and bronze medalist of the Olympic Games, Sergei Kotenko played for the Dynamo Almaty team.
возвращаясь
Coming back to those people who grew up on this pool, it is first of all our legendary team Dynamo Almaty, which became winners twice, owners of the Cup of the Soviet Union. At that time, it was one of the strongest teams. At one time, 6 people from the Dynamo were involved in the national team of the Soviet Union. This was an indicator in the Soviet era. 5 teams participated in Moscow. That is, the teams were Moscow State University, CSKA, the Navy, Dynamo Moscow, Dynamo Almaty. And they would involve 5-6 people in the team, when 11 people participated in the game. I think this is a vivid indicator of the merit of both the players and the coaching staff. Male water polo club Dynamo Almaty in the 1980s, 9 seasons in a row, was one of the winners of the championship of the USSR. In 1978, team for the first time took 3rd place, and 2 years later, the water polo players repeated their achievement.
В 1973 году юношеская команда.
In 1973, the youth team of Kazakhstan, also Dynamo Almaty, won the USSR championship in Moscow. For that team, by the way, played Sergei Kotenko and Kolya Loshkin. It was a very strong team, and probably with those times starting here with this team, we began to select players who passed our Kazakhstan school. Because our Kazakhstani school is very different from all other schools. In 1978, I already moved to the Dynamo Almaty team, and this year we became the 3rd, and also for the first time in history. Then the trainer changed. Stanislav Dmitrievich Pivovarov came along with Chernych, and the team began to progress sharply. And as a result, in 1981-82, we won the USSR Water Polo Championship twice in a row. By the time, the Dynamo team already had its Olympic champion, Sergei Kotenko, and 2 European champions among the youth, it's Yerlan Ayapbergenov and Nurlan Mendegaliev. In 1981, the Almaty team became the first champion of the USSR, and in 1982, Dynamo again won the gold medals of the championship of the Soviet Union.
Благодаря тем людям, которые...
Thanks to those people who played in 1980s, they created a great base for Kazakhstan, for Almaty. They raised the Dynamo sport. I myself, a graduate of the Soviet Union school, and then it turned into a Kazakhstani school, which continued to be famous. We won the Asian Games 5 times, played 3 times at the Olympics. This is a huge figure, given that we have only one team. This is the club and the team. Thanks to the fact that the team plays in the Russian Championship, it gets the necessary game practice. We are leaders in Asia. Sergei Drozdov dedicated many years to water polo and is very passionate for his favorite sport. He played for such teams as Dynamo Almaty, Sintis Kazan, Hapoel Israel, Spartak Volgograd, twice became the owner of the Cup of Russia, and for a long time was the head coach of the men's national team of the Republic of Kazakhstan on water polo, and Club Astana. In addition to the male water polo team, there is also a female water polo team. Our teams are one of the leaders in the Asian region. And I would say again that people who created water polo in Kazakhstan, Alexander Krukov, once he started male team, and then when they started holding championships, he opened women's water polo team. At that time, it was the city of Zhambul. The team became the champion of the Soviet Union. We also had a very good school, and all this thanks to the coaching staff, which was headed by Alexander Andreevich.
Очень хорошая школа, и все это благодаря тренерскому коллективу, который возглавлял Александр Андреевич.
Today, the male Kazakhstan team, which represents Kazakhstan in the international arena, is headed by its former player Alexander Shvedov. For many years, he defended the gates of the national team of Kazakhstan in water polo and participated at 3 Olympics.
У нас омоложенная команда.
Old players, foreign players left, and they continue to work only with their players. We try to engage young people into sports. 70% of the team consists of the young players, which not so long ago played at the World Youth Championship. We will continue to work in the same direction. Kazakhstan water polo has taken a second wind. The swimming pool of the Water Sports Center is recognized as the best water sport facility in Almaty. It meets international standards and allows holding the largest competitions. Here was held the super final of the World League for Water Polo FINA 2012 among male teams. According to the classification of the International Swimming Federation, this is the third event after the Olympic Games and World Championships. Previously, it was a completely open pool. There was a 25-meter indoor swimming pool. It was renovated, and we use a system that in winter we put the dome over it, and the kids do not freeze. The temperature under the dome is 25 degrees. It's stable, warm. When the summer comes, it's warm. We take off the dome, and we have an excellent outdoor swimming pool, as it is also called a beach in the city center. Artificial or liquid pools have many advantages. Such pools have a higher sanitary and hygienic culture and stability of operation. They are easier to regulate the quality and temperature of the water. This is continuous monitoring round the clock, 365 days a year. Day and night, people control the quality of water. We have two bowls. A bowl of 50-meter long water wraps up in 4 hours, completely filtered. A pool of 25 meters takes an hour and a half. In the overflow basins, the water is at the same level as the board, and the water intake from the pool is carried out through the overflow grill along the perimeter of the basin, from where the water enters the storage tank. Physical methods of preparing water in swimming pools include heating, recirculation, filtration, and disinfection. All units are located in a technical room under the pool. Water treatment system meets international standards. This huge number of pipes, about 1 kilometer long, which are connected under the pool. On the sides in the basement, storage, balance tanks, filters, pumps, pre-filters, main purification filters. The system looks like this. Our swimming pool is an overflow pool. The filtration is carried out constantly. Perhaps at the Water Sports Center an Olympic qualifying tournament will be held before the Games in Japan. In this pool, we can hold any level of competition, up to the World Championships. As we already conducted in 2012, we held the Super Final of the World League. Then we held the Asian Championship here among juniors. The World Cup was held for adults, and the Youth World Championship, where 20 teams participated. Therefore, I believe with full confidence that the World Championships in water sports will be given to us in this pool. There was a time when the old coaches were gone, and the young ones did not have enough experience to lead the teams to victories. To fill this gap, 6 years ago, we decided to attract the leaders of the world water polo. These are Serbian and Montenegrin specialists who help in the development of children's youth water polo, and it affects the national team. Now, thanks to this, we can see a lot of Kazakhstani players who were born, grew up in different regions on a team. They play for the national team and perform quite well. They won the 6th place in the Professional World League. Young water polo players are exemplified by veterans Sergei Drozdov, Nurlan Mendegaliyev, Sergei Kotenko, and many other dynamo players who continue to train and perform at the World Masters Games, where they have already become champions more than once. So in the Water Sports Center, you can meet the legendary athletes, both active players and beginners. All conditions are created for their growth and development. Pool, all my life passed here. After all, not only did I play here, I can say I became a player, a goalkeeper. Here also I spent my big activity in sports. I started working in the youth sports school. It was a school, water polo, and it was based just at this stadium. And until 1994, I was a coach, and here we conducted classes. Many players have passed through our hands. They still represent our country. The logic is simple. There are no pools and there are no water sports. There are swimming pools, there are champions. Perhaps one of today's boys and girls who are still learning to swim in a small pool will become a star of swimming or water polo.